Hello, I'm excited to share with everyone about my experience recovering from long COVID and chronic fatigue syndrome while using the ANS Rewire program. My name is Johanna. I am from Seattle, Washington, from the USA, and my occupation is PhD student. I became sick with COVID very early on in the pandemic. It was April 2020, and that progressed into long COVID. I grew more and more sick over time after getting the original infection and then subsequently becoming unable to return to work and the exercise I normally do. I experienced extreme fatigue, dysautonomia, POTS-like symptoms, eventually received a full chronic fatigue syndrome diagnosis and was really unable to continue with my studies and typical day-to-day activities. In my efforts to get well and understand what I was sick with, as this was a period of time when long COVID was brand new, and I spent a long time without a diagnosis. I saw many different specialists, including a cardiologist, an immunologist, and an allergist, and didn't receive any answers or treatment protocols. Then I tried taking matters more into my own hands and looking for some alternative forms of medicine and did a bit of acupuncture and herbal medicine. I also received a physical therapy prescription and tried that for a while, and didn't have any improvement from all of these efforts. And then it wasn't until about a year and 4 months, let's say, after getting sick that I discovered the CFS Unraveled website, where I watched a number of recovery interviews and started learning about people that had fully recovered from CFS and what some of the steps were that they took to get there, and realized that a common thread among a bunch of these people was using the ANS Rewire program. I was immediately extremely hopeful and excited to try out the program and see what it could offer me. I worked my way through the course materials over the fall about 1 year ago, and then decided that in order to get the full benefits of the program, I would fully devote myself to recovery, completely step back from my work and my research, and do the program full time. And it was only a couple of months after that sort of complete effort that my health really began to turn around, and I had extremely rapid improvements from there on out. At my worst point of health, which was, let's say, January, a little less than a year ago, I was spending most of my time sleeping or in bed or on the couch, doing very little activity. And after only about 3 months, I took a trip where I had to travel, started becoming much more physically active again and re-engaging in stimulating mental activities like challenging reading, and the speed of my recovery only increased from that point on, to where a couple months ago, this past summer, which was about 6 months after fully devoting myself to the program, I felt 100% recovered, and was getting back into doing all the activities that I previously did. So I was able to resume work and school. I was able to resume doing a lot of the physical activities like swimming and running and playing tennis that I love to do. And I was able to have the time and energy that I wanted to devote towards important relationships in my life, which hadn't been possible for a lot of the time that I was sick. In addition to recovering from this illness I had, the program allowed me to learn a lot more about myself and my relationship to the things that I do in my life, the people in my life, and some of the factors that could have contributed to being so susceptible to the COVID infection in the first place. And I think I've ended up with a much more holistic sense of what it means to be healthy and take care of yourself. The program was designed extremely carefully to help people with CFS like me digest all of the information in a manageable way and implement it and fully internalize it. It was paced incredibly well and very, very thoughtfully designed to help its users at various roadblocks that they might be encountering along the way, and to just provide all of the information they might need to be thinking about at the various stages of recovery. The most important moment in launching my recovery was beginning to learn about ways that people had fully recovered and how the nervous system might be involved in chronic fatigue syndrome. And embarking on a program like ANS Rewire is, I think, the number one way that you can learn about these things and the tools that are available for recovery. And I'll conclude with a big thank you to Dan for designing such an incredible program, so figuring out how to do that while recovering himself, and offering such an invaluable product to so many people with chronic fatigue and other similar illnesses, to reclaim their health back and learn so many invaluable things in the process.